G'day guys, Matty Sims here and welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Sims. In today's episode, we will have our Clash of Champions preview ahead of this weekend's pay-per-view. And we're not going to go through the entire card. We will at the end. We'll just do a rundown of all the matches. But this is just going to be a preview of, how many matches is that? 6 matches that we have on the screen here. Roman Reigns versus Erick Rowan in a no disqualification match. Bayley versus Charlotte for the women's SmackDown Women's Championship, and Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for the women's Raw Women's Championship, and the two main title matches: Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, and Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. We'll start off in today's episode with the women's title feuds, and we're going to combine, this little part into one here, and we'll just mix and match between both of them, because they are both intertwined with each other. As we know, Bayley and Sasha Banks, the Hug and Boss connection, if that's what they're still going by, recently turned heel. Both of them, a couple of weeks ago, Sasha Banks, as we know, attacking Natalya and then destroying pretty much Becky Lynch with a chair. And then the next week, as we saw, Bayley turning on Becky Lynch as well and teaming up with Sasha Banks once again. And then the next night on SmackDown, taking out Charlotte with a chair. So we're still not 100% sure who is the true faces and heels, I guess, in that feud. Bayley, she's sort of still being a tweener, saying, I'm doing it for you guys. But we do know that she has turned heel. But Charlotte, she gets cheers. She's always gotten cheers. She's always gotten boos, and that's just her character. She is, at that level, she is probably the best, almost the best women's, wrestler of all time in WWE anyway. And, all those title reigns, it counts for something. And, will she get an 11th title reign this week? We'll have to see. We'll have to find out. I don't think she will. I think there will be some shenanigans. Maybe Becky Lynch retains her title over Sasha Banks, and then Sasha Banks helps Bayley retain hers later in the night, or vice versa. I don't know. It's probably too soon to take the belt off Bayley, especially after turning her heel. But could they possibly go for a run at the tag titles again down the line? I doubt it, since that was the whole reason. Sasha Banks went on her vacation, I guess, and decided, I want to be a mainstay, and that's what she wants to be, a main roster female wrestler. She wants to be at the top of the card, and she has that chance, I guess, against Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. I don't know. I don't see them taking the belt off Becky Lynch, but they did take the SmackDown Women's Championship off her straight away. So there is the possibility that, they could put the belt on Sasha Banks. You probably should do it, especially if you want to create this heel, stable, this heel tag team of Bayley and Sasha Banks controlling the women's division, both title belts, and just on top of the world with, Becky Lynch chasing, Charlotte chasing Bayley, maybe Ember Moon chasing Bayley. Great triple threat match could happen. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Charlotte on Raw. But they do need to incorporate some more women into the title picture. Ember Moon did get a chance, but she was booked terribly leading up to that match against Bayley. So I think we're going to have 2 very good women's matches, that's for sure. 2 phenomenal matches at Clash of Champions. We saw their tag team match on Raw, which was phenomenal, really. It was a great tag team match. And yeah, they probably shouldn't have lost that, especially so soon after turning heel. But I think, there's going to be 2 great women's matches. There possibly will be shenanigans in both matches, especially on the side of Bayley and Sasha Banks. Could we also be getting a third member? Now, this isn't a rumor I've seen. This isn't a rumor, people have been talking about. I've just put it in my own mind. Could a third member join them from NXT? That could be a possibility. Make them a trio. Make them a dominant heel faction in the company. But yeah, so my predictions for these 2 matches. I'm going to go Bayley to retain over Charlotte. and also Becky Lynch to retain over Sasha Banks, but most likely by disqualification, or maybe even Sasha Banks wins by disqualification, because Becky Lynch, as we know, she's the man. She's not going to, stand for any more nonsense. She's not going to, accept getting hit with a steel chair. We could see her lose by disqualification. It's happened before. She'll do it again, any way to keep that title and also get revenge on these two. But yeah, I could definitely see Bayley winning by disqualification as well, but we won't go too much into that because it can get hazy at times. What is going to happen. I'm just going to say Bayley to win, Becky Lynch to win. Retain. Next up, we'll talk about the no disqualification match between Roman Reigns and Erick Rowan. And it's been a pretty decent couple of weeks in the build-up to this, I must say. Just some hard-hitting, moments. And we saw on SmackDown, Erick Rowan throw in that, what would it be called? The camera, and it's on the big beam. He threw that into Roman Reigns and all the security guards that were there as well. And this feud, it started off, sort of goofy with that initial attack, which everyone sort of laughed at. But it's also sort of picked up steam. Erick Rowan is looking like an absolute monster. And it would not surprise me if, this is sort of a mini push for him. See how he goes at the top of the card. Because they sort of lack big men on SmackDown. Big heels. They lack them on SmackDown. And could he be that big heel for maybe Kofi Kingston to go up against? Maybe a face Daniel Bryan as champion to go up against. These are all things that we was yet to find out. And Erick Rowan, he's decent on the mic. He's not amazing. He's decent. When you give him those short promos, he's got an intimidating voice. Sort of reminds me of Kane's voice, many years ago. And how will Daniel Bryan play into this disqualification match? No disqualification match. Is he going to be on Erick Rowan's side? And it's just been a ruse this whole time? That attack on him by Erick Rowan? Or is he turning babyface? We don't know. We're going to find out at Clash of Champions. But I'm excited for it. It's going to be a massive slogfest, isn't it? Just two behemoths in Roman Reigns and Erick Rowan. They're going to hopefully, go around the arena. That would be cool to see. Like they did on SmackDown. Maybe even, a new spot could happen. Who knows? Erick Rowan has shown in the past that he's not afraid to do more than what you'd think he's capable of. And especially, when he was in a tag team with Luke Harper, when he was in the Wyatt family. So I can't wait to see what these two can produce on the weekend. There's also a bit of a question of Luke Harper. I try to avoid the dirt sheets and stuff like that. I want to be surprised. I saw a few, snippets and a few videos on YouTube. Luke Harper potentially coming back. I didn't, if I'm completely wrong, let me know in the comments below. As I said, I didn't watch it all, but I just saw some pictures and stuff like that. Could he be returning? Teaming up, with Erick Rowan, the Bludgeon Brothers return. Could that be a thing? I personally like the Bludgeon Brothers when they are a tag team. And if you're going to have them at the top of the card, maybe with Daniel Bryan as well, what an amazing trio that would be. But again, we're going to find out. Hopefully, we can get a few surprises, a few shocks at Clash of Champions. As it is usually just a stock standard pay-per-view. But it's a pretty strong card this year. And yeah, I think these are the 6 biggest matches on the card, that's for sure. So yeah, let me know, guys, in the comments below who you think is going to win, including the 2 women's matches as well already. But for this, I'm going Roman Reigns. I think it's pretty obvious he will win, get his revenge on Erick Rowan. But if they are trying to give Erick Rowan a mini push here, just to see how he goes at the top, I think you got to give the win to Erick Rowan. But I'm going to go for a safe bet and say Roman Reigns will win. Next up, guys, we'll talk about Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. And it's come full circle, this feud. You remember, was it 10 years ago? Madison Square Garden, Kofi Kingston, boom drop from the crowd to Randy Orton through a table. And that was the moment that everyone sort of started taking Kofi Kingston seriously, and then he did fall back into mid-card, mediocrity for a number of years. Never a bad worker, but before that, that period to the New Day, he was just in mid-card after that initial Randy Orton feud. He was just stuck in the mid-card, wasn't really doing anything. A few tag team title wins, Intercontinental title wins here and there, but nothing too big. And as champion, he has just taken that ball and run with it and shown that maybe he deserved to be at the top of the card a lot sooner and a lot more frequently in the past. And Randy Orton, kind of ruined that. If the rumor is true that, he did throw him under the bus to WWE officials, made him get his push, halted at that time. But it's come full circle. Kofi Kingston last week on SmackDown with the boom drop from the crowd at Madison Square Garden through a table to Randy Orton. What a moment that was to see. I wasn't watching it live, but I did see it on Twitter and then go watch it back. And it was pretty cool. You remember that Kofi Kingston, he was coming out of that, Jamaican sort of vibe, and he was getting a bit tougher, and that's what we've wanted to see. We saw it at SummerSlam when he destroyed Randy Orton with the kendo stick, and we've seen it at Madison Square Garden this past week with the boom drop from the crowd through a table. So we want that bit of an edge to Kofi Kingston. That's what we've been missing. Just that little bit of an edge to say, you know what, he's here, and yes, he's going to be throwing pancakes into the crowd. But as soon as that bell rings, he's a tough SOB, and he's going to whip your ass, as they say. And it was amazing to see, and it's good to see that he's had a long title reign now. I would be surprised if they put the belt on Randy Orton, but I wouldn't be surprised as well. We've seen in the past, especially that Bray Wyatt feud, Randy Orton didn't need the belt. He didn't need to become WWE champion, but they dropped the ball with Bray, and we'll get into Bray Wyatt maybe a little bit later on, but it's taken a while for him to get back up to that level. Kofi Kingston, if he loses the belt, it could be a matter of he is going to be stuck again, challenging, and then just back into the New Day. I think keep the belt on Kofi Kingston at least into the Rumble and see where you go. Who else could you put the belt on SmackDown at the moment anyway? There's no one there. Keep the belt on Kofi. Let him run with it. Even, let him have it till Mania. Maybe make him a heel as champion. We've seen how good he can be as a heel in the New Day already. What if you turn them into a heel faction once again? It could work. I personally want to see Big E turn heel with Xavier Woods. Put the belt on Big E at Mania, maybe. Maybe at the Rumble, Survivor Series. There's a lot of ways they can go with this. And putting the belt on Orton would be a mistake. So hopefully, Kofi retains. I'm going to pick Kofi to retain. But there's also the Revival in the picture and the New Day. So I'm not sure if there's been a tag title match announced yet. We'll get into the card. I haven't actually seen the entire card yet. These are just the 6 matches. That everyone knows that's happening. And haven't seen the full card yet. But yeah, I'm going to pick Kofi to retain. As I said, guys, let me know in the comments below who you think will win the match. I'm going with Kofi Kingston to retain the title. But let me know in the comments below. Next up, we'll get into what supposedly, I'm assuming, would be the main event. Braun Strowman versus Universal Champion Seth Rollins for the Universal title. But also, we've got to get into their tag team match against... Who are they versing? Oh, completely forgot. They are versing Ziggler and Bobby Roode. That's embarrassing. I apologise, guys, for that mistake. Yeah, so as we know, they're going to have a tag team match for the tag team titles, which they're defending, as they are the tag team champions, against Robert Roode, apologies again, and Dolph Ziggler. I'm guessing they're going to win and retain the belts, because no way would they be putting the belts on Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. I mean, Robert Roode, amazing worker. Dolph Ziggler, amazing. Robert Roode, though, deserves a far more. If this could be a turn of events where they lose, maybe on Raw, Robert Roode turns even more heel, taking out Dolph Ziggler. and give him a bit of a push. Push him up the card a little bit. He deserves more, Robert Roode. He deserves so much more than what he's being given at the moment. Hopefully, that can happen. Bonus match for you to talk about. I just forgot that match was happening. But again, I'm going to go Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman to retain. But I wouldn't be surprised if they put the belts on Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler and have maybe Braun Strowman turn heel on Seth Rollins, or even turn Seth Rollins heel. We've seen how good of a heel he has been in the past. Could it happen again? Wait to find out. But we'll get into the main event now, and Braun Strowman versus Seth Rollins. It's going to be a fun match. Braun Strowman, he works well with a smaller guy, but Seth Rollins, he can work with about anyone. Anyone in the business. He will have an amazing match with him. And these two have shown that they got decent chemistry in the past. The Shield and the Dogs of War feud that happened, last October. September, October. So it's going to be good. A good match. I don't know who to pick. I'm torn because I want Braun Strowman to become champion because he deserves it. He has grafted and worked his ass off for so long now, and he's still yet to be champion. But I want the Fiend to become champion at Hell in a Cell. And the only way I see him becoming champion is if he beats Seth Rollins, because you can't put the belt on Braun Strowman and then have him lose. Now, what I think is going to happen is Seth Rollins, through the skin of his teeth, will retain. Because Braun Strowman is a bigger guy. He is much, and he has a lot more to prove, Braun Strowman. So he's going to be going into this, you'd think, with, that mentality of it's win or lose. I lose, I'm done mentality. Sort of that sporting mentality. When you're playing a final, there's no more tomorrow. We've got to win now. So Seth Rollins to retain by the skin of his teeth. Lights to flick up, The Fiend comes out, will attack Seth Rollins after the match. Then what I think will happen is at Hell in a Cell, you start the feud for Undertaker Fiend. I don't know how you do it. It would look dodgy for the Undertaker to cost Bray Wyatt the match. But I don't see how you can have the Fiend lose a match if you don't want to put the belt on him and make it look good. Because there's no way you can have Bray Wyatt as the Fiend losing his second match. You just can't have that. And unless it starts the feud for him to just retire the Undertaker, which will be a sad day to see the Undertaker retire. But how else are you going to make him lose the match? I want the belt to be put on him, but is it too soon? Is Hell in a Cell, the next pay-per-view, too soon for the Fiend? Anyway, we can discuss that when that comes around, because we will do a preview for Hell in a Cell. But yeah, this is a tough match to pick because Braun Strowman deserves this match. He deserves the belt. I mean, he hasn't really worked for it in the last few weeks. Really, he sort of just looked at Seth Rollins and said, "Give me the match," and Seth Rollins said, "Yeah." But he deserves it. For the amount of work he's put in, the amount of improvement he's had over the course of the last few years. So I'm going to go Seth Rollins to retain. Not happy with it. I love Seth Rollins. He's a great worker, great character. Needs to work on his character a bit, but that's not his fault. The promos they give him are trash. Maybe a heel Seth Rollins to retain. Could we see that? Early in the night, he costs Braun Strowman the tag team titles. And, gets the upper hand with an injured Braun Strowman, a worn-out Braun Strowman. But yeah, we'll see what happens anyway, guys. It's going to be a good pay-per-view. As I said, I'm going for Seth Rollins. Let me know in the comments below who you think is going to win. We'll just go through these 6 matches real quick again, who I think is going to win, just so we have them, in order, I guess. So, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. We're going for Becky Lynch to retain. Bayley versus Charlotte. we are going for... Oh, we said... Oh, Bailey. I'm just thinking now, guys. Do we go... We'll go Bailey to retain. Roman Reigns versus Erick Rowan. Roman Reigns, though I'd like to see Erick Rowan. Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman. Seth Rollins by the skin of his teeth. And Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston to retain. And this is the full match card though now, guys. So we'll just do it quickly again. 11 matches on the card. And there's only, what's that? One non-title match, which is good to see. Which is pretty good to see. Anyway, guys, we'll go straight into it now. So, in the order that I have here, we have Bayley versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship in a singles match, of course. We're going to go Bayley, as we said. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. I'm going to go Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Seth Rollins will turn heel, and he will cost him and Braun Strowman the tag team titles. We'll go next, AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander. We're going to go AJ Styles to retain. The OC need him to retain, that's for sure. Next up, we'll do Drew Gulak versus Humberto Carrillo versus Lince Dorado. I'm actually excited for this. I do watch 205 Live every now and then when I've got the time. And Drew Gulak, amazing performer. Humberto Carrillo, amazing as well. And Lince Dorado. So, two luchadors going against an absolute technical beast in Drew Gulak. We'll say Drew Gulak to retain as well with that one. The New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods as the champions versus the Revival. We're going to go New Day to retain the tag titles. Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz. We're going to go Nakamura to retain with the help of Sami Zayn. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Becky Lynch. Roman Reigns versus Erick Rowan. I keep tossing up Erick Rowan. We're going to lock it in. Erick Rowan. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross to retain. And what else do we have? I'm missing one. Oh yeah, Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman. Seth Rollins to retain, and Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. Kofi Kingston. I think I did them in order. Yeah. I think I did them in order. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below who you think is going to win. We'll say the matches one more time: AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the Women's Tag Team Champions, versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Roman Reigns versus Erick Rowan in a no disqualification match. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. The New Day, Big E and Xavier Woods versus the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. Drew Gulak versus Humberto Carrillo versus Lince Dorado for the Cruiserweight Championship. Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Bayley versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler for the Tag Team Championships. Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. Anyway, guys, it went a little bit longer than I thought. Than I wanted it to as well, because, you know, I ramble on. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I've rambled on so much. In the video here, if you guys do enjoy these like uncut and raw type videos of me just talking, I'm trying to talk to you guys, so I don't want to, you know, have heaps of cuts and stuff like that. And also, it's a lot easier just to record what I'm saying at the time and you know, edit it all together, because, oh my gosh, this is already long as, you know, these are videos to make. So, anyways, if you guys do enjoy the uncut and raw nature of these videos, drop a like and drop a comment as well, and let me know what more you guys want to see. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the video, drop a like, of course. The likes, you know, please give me likes. If you do watch it and you do enjoy it, please give me a like. I want to try and build this channel up to at least 50 subscribers by the end of the year, which would be amazing. You know, we're already halfway there. So 50 subscribers would be amazing. So yeah, drop a like, share it if you do enjoy it. Tell your friends and stuff about it. And yeah, subscribe if you're new and you want to see more content. Anyway, guys, it's been your boy Matty Sims. I'll see you in the next one.